I would like to just thank you all for being here. So yes, this is our goal setting workshop for 2023. I was sharing with a friend of mine that I haven't actually spoken to a group in about a year and a half, so y'all just kind of bear with me, and if things kind of seem to go a little haywire, just make it, make light of it. Starting with figuring out how to get the paperwork that's not clicking. There we go. All right, so the first thing I want to do before I actually get into who I am is I just want to start with thanking the Chamber and see, I forget names when I'm up here, Janie and Boomy for inviting me to be actually the first speaker of 2023, so it's all uphill from here. But I just want to thank them for just reaching out and inviting me to come in and speak to you all. I want to thank you all for being here. When I went in to register, I emailed Janie and I said, well, I guess I'm off the hook because it's full. I can't get in. So y'all beat me to it. So that means y'all were more excited to be here than maybe some other folks. And I just kind of dilly-dally and got in. I also want to thank some friends for coming. I especially want to thank my pastor's wife, Dr. Wendy, for being here. When I mentioned to her that I was going to be speaking, she said, can I go? And I was like, yes. But then I was like, well, wait a minute, I can't even get it. But it's all good. So again, I just want to thank you all for being here. One of the things that I learned a long time ago is that gratitude unspoken really isn't gratitude at all. And so as you go about your days, and if you are thankful for people, if you are excited about what they have poured into and invested into your life, please make sure that you actually speak that out, that you share that. I can't think of how many times I've walked away from something and did not offer that gratitude. I knew it, but that person, they may have felt it, they may not have felt it, but quite frankly, if I didn't tell them, they probably didn't really know how I felt. So make sure that you're expressing gratitude as you go forward. So just a little bit about me. So I'm a wife. I've been married to my husband for 30 years. We're coming up on 30 years this summer. And I'm excited about the fact that it's been 30 years because when you look around the world today, 30 years is a really long time for a lot of folks. And so I'm really excited about 30 years with my husband. We are the parents of 3 adult children. We have a 28-year-old, a 22-year-old, and a 20-year-old. I'm one very proud mama. Folks will ask me about myself, and most times I go straight to my kids. So they'll start asking me questions like, well, my son and my daughter, and I tell all the things about my kids. I am a friend of many, but I also prefer to keep my circle nice and small because if you all can't already tell, I'm very much an introvert, and so crowds, I kind of go to the side and then I scan the room and I try to figure out, okay, who are the safe people that I can really talk to, and then I run back to the corner again. I have one brother, and we are like the best of friends / enemies. Some days we get along great, other days I want nothing to do with him. I also hold a master's degree in professional counseling, marriage and family therapy. I'm the executive director of Heart and Soul Fitness, which that is a wild and crazy title to wrap my brain around because of the way in which our organization is set up. And then through that, I'm a certified personal trainer and level 1 CrossFit coach, as we were talking about over here a little bit. And just to tell you a little bit about some of the things that I personally love. I love the Lord. I love Jesus Christ. I love running. I love lifting weights. I love to travel. If y'all want to plan a trip, invite me, I will go. I love chai tea and I love chocolate chip cookies. So I love, especially when they're soft and they're warm. I know some other people who like chocolate chip.
That would have been a great prop, but
it would have. And that's not what I'm going to do today. That's not what we're here for today. But yes, I love me some cookies. So this is my family. So I'll start with these folks over here. So this is me. And that's my brother. And those are my parents. Both of my parents are deceased. My dad actually passed away on January 17th, and my mom passed away on March 17th. So the 13th is my birthday, but 17 are days that I kind of remember for both of my parents. I'm going to tell you a story about my dad here in a little bit, so I wanted y'all to see him. I wanted y'all to put a face to the man that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. And then this is my family. So my husband here, 30 years, and then these are my kids, 28, 22, and 21. They are like, they're my babies. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm going to tell you a story. So we're going to start with, have you ever seen anyone planting corn? Like, are y'all familiar with the concept of planting corn? So those little kernels, they're seeds, kernels. So one of the things that my dad used to do, so I grew up here in Charlottesville, and we started out in North Garden, but I grew up in Charlottesville. But when we lived in North Garden, we would, and I'm going to pause for just a second. I have to do something because this is driving me insane. So I'm going to tell you another story. We're gonna pause for a moment because I'm 50, I'm hot, and I'm distracted. I don't normally dress up. I'm gonna come back to my corn story. I don't normally dress up. My day is spent in yoga pants, stretchy pants, a t-shirt, a tank top. So I got dressed, and I don't typically wear a lot of makeup because I'm gonna sweat it off. So I got dressed, did my face first. Then I decided, okay, now I'm going to get dressed. As soon as I decided I was going to get dressed, you see this little stain right here? I know y'all can see it because I can see it. I know it's there.
I didn't intend to.
Y'all feel good. Y'all feel better. I confess myself. Because I know it's there. I'm trying to cover it up. But see, can't cover things up. It always comes to the light. Yeah. So now I feel better. Oh, now I feel better. I feel free, y'all. So back to my corn. So with my daddy. So my daddy used to plant corn when we lived in North Garden. We would, do the rows, and he would take the corn seeds, and we would walk along, and he would drop the corn. Before I could see the corn seeds, we would actually get these little seed packets. We would go to the general store and get these seed packets. On the front of the seed packets, you would actually see the finished product. You would see the corn. You would see these nice, beautiful, golden yellow ears of corn. But that's not what we held in our hand. What we held in our hand were seeds, but we expected to get corn. We were expecting that if we put these seeds in the ground, and I'm not a farmer, I have no clue how long, so I'm just going to say a few months, which is probably wrong, but in a few months, we would go back out, and we would take these ears of corn, and we would have corn. We didn't have corn immediately. When we went to the general market, the general store, we had to get a little seed packet, and that's all we had. That's all we had in our hand. But over time, we ended up with corn. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how do we go from seeds to harvest. So many of you, you're probably familiar with, actually I skipped a slide, but I'll get there. We're going to get there. So before I say to many of you, I'm going to go back a bit. So what I want you to think about is we're talking about 2023. So we're here today to talk about 2023. But some people make goals for 5 years out. So that's 2028. Are y'all thinking that, oh my gosh, 2028? Mm-hmm. What about 2023? That sounds like a weird number. That sounds like something, that you would see on Star Trek or something. 2023. Guys, that's 10 years from now. Who knows what they were doing 10 years ago? I was actually in my car. One of the things that I do to kind of get myself settled, bring myself down, is I was listening to some worship music from 2011, 2022. And this is some instrumental music, and I was listening to it, and I was like, man, my gosh, that was like yesterday that I was listening to this music. But then I looked at the picture, you know how you have the music on your iPhone, 10, 12 plus years ago. So as you're thinking about 2023, realize that 2028 is going to be here soon, and 2033 will be here sooner. So just kind of have that kind of wrapped in your mind. So most of you are probably familiar with SMART goals. How many of you have to do SMART goals at work? I no longer do them. This whole concept, this setup really kind of messed with my thinking. It took me too long to really think through all of these different bullet points. But most of us are familiar. We are familiar with, we have to have a specific goal. What is it that you want to accomplish? Is that goal measurable? How do you measure it? We all have to have some type of data points. We have to have some way of saying that this is how we're going to measure out that particular goal. Is that goal even achievable? Some people go into some of their goals and say, I want a promotion and I want to make, X number of dollars. Well, is that really realistic? Or I want to go back to school, but I have to work 2 full-time jobs and I can't ever find time to study. So is that really realistic? Is it relevant? I think one of the last workshops that we had, we were talking about what do we value? If your values don't necessarily line up with something that you're saying is a goal, is that really something that you should be pursuing? If you value your family and your relationships and you have a goal that kind of takes you all over the place and you're never really able to commit that time to your family, is that worth what you're wanting to do? And in time bound, I'm going to lose 15 pounds by Sunday. Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not a realistic, none of it will work. So what I want you all to do is I want you to take a few minutes and think about your goals. So before we actually get into kind of what I'm going to talk about today, I want you all to think about, and I want you to make a list. And this could be a mental list, it could be a list on your phone, if you have paper. I want you to make a list of some goals that have manifested. So whether it was last year, the last couple of years, think about some of your goals that have manifested. Then I want you to think about some of your goals that did not manifest. What are some of those things that you had on your list that really did not come to fruition? And then I want you to kind of take a few minutes and turn to your partners, and then if you're comfortable, the one that I want you to talk about is the goal that did not manifest. And I want you to kind of talk about why did that particular goal not manifest. There's no condemnation, there's no shame, there's no, oh my gosh, why? We're not going to do that. We're just going to listen and hear from each other what are some goals that did not manifest. Okay? I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but maybe 3s, 2s, something, but this is your time to talk, my time to breathe.
I guess my top one.
Yeah.
Started my business last year, and my goal was to build a team and 2 years. We have it in public. So it's not okay. That's where that would be the one maybe someday. I don't know. I don't know. Share who other last year I mean, we're all right. Foundational and I get busier, but anyway, her book is getting full, I have less time for admin. But I also you know, and so that's what I feel like the system is not gonna put this here. I really want to figure out how to do that. You know, my kid has kids that trust me, but I don't feel very
So since you all had opportunities to share some of your goals, I'm going to go ahead and share mine with all of you. So a couple of goals that did not manifest for me. As I mentioned earlier, I have a master's degree and I decided one day I'm going to go back and get a doctorate, which sounded really good until I was in that first class and they started talking about writing papers in APA style and borders and letters and paragraphs and all the things. I could not write a paper without having a sample paper beside me, my paper in the APA manual. After class number 3, I said, I don't want to write anymore. I didn't want to write anymore. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy the process, I just didn't want to write. If I could just go to the teacher and just tell them everything that I had found and all the research and all the articles and just could talk about it, great. But once I had written a 15-page paper and then they asked me to do a 15, like, annotated bibliography of all the articles, I was like, no. I don't have any more words. I have nothing. Maybe one day, but I just didn't enjoy the process. And then I decided, well, maybe I'll go ahead and just get my license, because I'm not licensed, and I thought, well, maybe I'll get licensed. Well, I graduated in 2007. It was 2016 when I said I'm going to go back and get my license. So I did all the things, typed up all the things, did all my paperwork to the state, and they said, well, it's been a while, so now take these 5 additional classes. I said I didn't want to write. I don't want to write. So I did. One of the classes I had to take was career development. Now, mind you, I had a career. I had to do mock interviews. I had to do mock resumes. I didn't enjoy that. But I went ahead and I did the classes. But then they said, well, since it's been so long, now we need you to do 300 additional clinical hours, meaning we need you to do therapy at 300 hours. And I was like, I don't enjoy sitting with people that much. I'm not doing that. So I never did it. So 2 goals that did manifest, and these are the 2 that I'm still kind of coming down off of. So those are the 2 that I'm going to tell you about. So the first one is last year, November 13th, 30 days away from my 50th birthday. I think it was actually the 12th. But 30 days from my 50th birthday, I completed the Richmond Marathon.
Congratulations.
I was so excited to cross that finish line. I did not enjoy the process of getting all the training that I had to do. You know, some days I would run 12, 15, 20 miles to prepare for that marathon, and I got to a point where I said, I don't like running anymore. A couple slides back, I told you I loved running. I love running. There were days where I said, I hate this. I don't want to run anymore, especially in Charlottesville because everything is uphill. And then if you go down, like, oh, I hear some runners, so chocolate chip cookies and runners. The other goal that I'm going to talk to you about, or talk with you about today, is my husband and I opened Heart and Soul Fitness Studio in November. And that's what I really want to kind of talk with you all about today, is getting to where you have that goal that you're in love with, and you will do just about anything to make sure that goal comes to fruition. So today we're going to be talking about trusting the process. So a couple of things that I mentioned with those first 2 goals is I didn't enjoy the process. There are things that you're not going to enjoy with the goals that come to fruition. Those particular 2, working towards my doctorate and working towards my license, there were things that I just did not enjoy, and those were things that I was not willing to kind of push through to get to the other side. There are going to be some goals that you're just going to have to do the things that you don't enjoy. You're going to have to push through some things to get to the other side. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is trusting the process. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the chart that's up here, and if you all would like this emailed, I will definitely email it to you, so please don't feel like you have to write it all. But the first thing, do you remember when I was talking about the seeds that we had in our hand? Mm-hmm. When we went to the store, we had a vision of what we were expecting. We knew that a couple months down the road, we were going to have corn, that we were going to have, we're going to have corn at our dinner table. So that's what we expected to see. We expected to see kernels of corn on a corn cob at our table. We knew that we had seeds in our hand, but then there was a process. My dad didn't just go out and start dropping seeds in the ground and go sit back inside, put his feet up and watch television and say, well, in a couple of months we're going to get us some corn. There were things that he had to do. There were things that even as kids, my brother and I had to do. We were making sure that we pulled the weeds. We were making sure that if the sun was too hot and we didn't get rain, then we went out and added some more water. We had to do some things. There was a process that had to be done, and we're going to talk more about that process. And then the harvest. Again, this is kind of tied into the vision. The vision was we knew we wanted to see corn. The harvest, we were eating corn. And then after the harvest, there's an impact. So not only do you have seeds, you have work, you have a harvest, but then there's an impact. The impact for us with that corn is that we didn't actually have to go to the market and buy corn and other vegetables that we planted. Our family was able to eat directly from what was placed there in the land that my dad put in the land. And so that was the long-term impact. And so every year we expected to see something. We would go get our seeds, we would have our seeds, plant our seeds, do what we needed to do. We had our harvest, and then there was that impact. So again, we're going to talk about this process. If the computer will go to the next one. Come on, it's thinking. So as I mentioned, your vision. So this is kind of where I want you all to kind of start thinking about your particular goals. What do you expect to accomplish? What is it that you want to accomplish this year, the next 30 days, the next 5 years? What is it that you are expecting? The seeds, what's in your hand? What do you already have that you can start planting? Do you remember earlier when I talked about gratitude? Gratitude is one of those things that you could actually start planting. Because you never know, some of the interactions that you have could be the seeds that end up getting you to where you want to go. What resources do you already have? What are some of the things that you already have in your tool bag? You know, for the studio, and I'm going to talk about this here in a little bit, but there are some things that we had weights at home long before we ever had weights at a studio. I knew some things that I was expecting. There are some things that we had just sitting at our house already that we could then add to or move into where we were going. So the process. What is required to reach your goals? For some, it's going to take some time. Some of you are going to need, you may need to go back to school. You may need to get some additional financial resources. You may need to make some more contacts. I was sharing earlier, I am an introvert. I like to be around people, but I also enjoy sitting in a quiet, dark room by myself. I'm very much an introvert. But there are going to be times where I have to get out of that. I have to go and be around people. I have to network with people. I have to go to different events. I have to make myself network. And those may be some of the things that you need to do. The next one, distractions. Can you recognize distractions? One of the things years ago that our family chose to do is we got rid of cable. Now, there's a whole lot that I can still look at on my phone and the internet and all the things, but that was one of the things that we had to get rid of. If I was going to get off the couch and start moving my body and start doing some extra things, doing some other things, I couldn't watch a lot of television. And when I say television, I could tell you what was going to be happening in the weather here. I could tell you the weather in Kansas. I could tell you the weather in California. I knew the weather in Africa because I love the Weather Channel. and if there was, if there was snow up in Montana and a truck was going to cross a bridge and fall in, I knew that too. I knew all the things about the weather. I loved the Weather Channel. And then my kids' sports and all the things. But those were distractions. Those were some things that we had to get rid of. Other distractions that you might need to let go of are people. Come on now. Hello. Some other distractions that you might have to let go of are people speaking against your goal. There may be people saying, "Are you sure you really want to do that?" Doubt. That instantly puts doubt in your mind, because then it becomes, am I sure? I don't know if I should do that or not. You may have people, "You're too old for that. Go do something else." At 50 years old, me personally, I feel better at 50 than I did at 20. No offense to the 20 and 30-year-olds, but I feel so much better at 50 than I did 20 years ago. So you have to think about, what are those distractions that you're going to have to pull up? What are those weeds? We couldn't expect that our corn was just going to grow up and we didn't have to go and do some work. So you may have to let go of some things. And then who's working alongside of you? Not only did my brother and I help my dad, but we had other people helping. Who else is helping you reach your goals? You may have to call somebody and say, you know, I'm really struggling today, this is not working, or I can't lift this, you know, all of this corn by myself, can you come and help me? But you may need to call out and ask for some help. Who in the room likes to ask for help? I don't see any other hands going up. I thought I would at least see one. Ladies, that's something that we're going to have to do. We are going to have to look around the room and say, she is really good at this, and I'm going to use you as an example, because I think I heard something that may work for me. But you're really good with finances, right?
I hope so.
From what I heard, you should be. So I don't touch money. I don't, like, in our household, I don't even mess with the budget. Not because my husband hoards that over me or like tries to keep me. I just know I don't mess with money. You give me cash, and I'm gonna figure out how to spend it. I like to shop. But I need to reach out to some folks and say, hey, you're good with money. Can you help me with this, you know, this spreadsheet, this budget, this something? So you're going to have to figure out, you know, if you're looking for a property, don't just go out by yourself and do it. Find a good real estate agent and say, hey, can you help me kind of dig through and look for the right property in the right place and all of those things. If you're thinking about, you know, I have to go on this job interview and I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to dress, she'll dress you. She'll show you how to get styled and do all the things. Me, I just put on a pair of sweatpants and go. But start looking around and say, who is going to help me? Because you're going to have to ask for help. We can't do this all by ourselves. And then when it's time to reel in that harvest, this is the manifestation of what you have been kind of praying for, working towards, tilling up the ground for, gathering all of your resources, pulling up the weeds. This is now, you have your manifestation of what it is that you were expecting. So it's no longer a seed packet, it's no longer seeds, it's no longer the toil, it's no longer all of the work. Now you have the reality of whatever it is that you were expecting. So before I go on, let me hear some of the and you can just kind of shout them out. We're not in elementary school, but be respectful. But let me hear some of those goals that y'all have just for 2023. What are some things that you're hoping, and I shouldn't even say that, what are some things that you are expecting to happen in 2023?
I have one.
Yeah.
It was a goal of mine last year that I lacked on, and so it's another goal of mine this year, but I want to remove the PMI from my mortgage.
Okay. Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah, so so I've got the steps and I'm manifesting and I'm gonna get on that. I'm gonna stop dragging my feet.
Okay.
Kind of a short-term goal. It's not gonna take all year, but it just takes me taking action on it.
Okay. Did you write it down?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So not only have you written it down, but now you have spoken it out. Okay. Who else? Let's hear a couple more. What are some other goals from some of the other introverts?
I was going to say, Liz and I agree that we definitely want to spend more time with our families this year and be totally present in the moment and be able to turn off that entrepreneur urge to check email or something when we are supposed to be dedicating that time with our family.
That is also my goal. To be more present with family, have more balance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One of my goals is to actively work on being less stressed about my work.
when that happens, you let me know.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell all of us how it works. I know how to do that. Yes.
One of the things we talked about was being comfortable with what we're not good at or what we don't know, and being more comfortable being uncomfortable, and not letting the anxiety of that realization keep us from progressing.
I have a goal. One of my goals is to get my systems like in better place for my business, to have it stronger to grow, and then remove the mental block I have about bringing on help, because I need help, but to figure out how to make those steps to like bring on a person.
Good. All right, one more.
Doing an Olympic triathlon.
Say that one more time.
Doing an Olympic triathlon,
Okay.
which I've done like years ago. I did them, but I've had a lot of health issues, so trying to do another one would feel really great. Or like doing another one will feel really great. Change the language.
All right. I want to hear from you. You're like right in my I want to hear from you.
Right. I think one of my goals is to face some fears that I have and do it anyway. That's one of the things that I think. I am an overthinker sometimes, and I like to study. You know, there's some people that just take action all at once, but the more that I take time, the more fear builds up.
Yes.
So I'm purposely and being more intentional of just going at it, you know, facing the fear and doing it anyway, and not allowing it to settle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm not asking, you don't have to share the whole group, but I'm asking, just asking, do you have something specific that you want to accomplish?
I think it's probably business related.
Okay.
I'm a realtor, so and I just started in the business a few years ago.
Okay.
So just
Yeah.
getting
Well,
more exposure, getting myself out there, because I'm more of a introvert sometimes as well, and I know that I have to enlarge my territory based on the business that I am doing. So
It's a lot of putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
I understand that.
So you're in the right place. Awesome. All right. Thank y'all so much. So I'm going to tell you about my goal that I actually accomplished last year. So it was to open a fitness studio. So that was the vision. Many years ago, I was working with a lady when I lived in Tennessee. I'm originally from Charlottesville, but I was working with a lady in just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. And we were just talking about, man, it would be really good to have a fitness studio that was not like every other gym that we had been to. And what we meant by that is we wanted a space that was designed primarily for women, not exclusive to women, but that was primarily for women, and more so women who wouldn't typically go to, and I'll just use a frame of reference here in Charlottesville, but wouldn't go to ACAC. They wouldn't go to Gold's Gym. Do y'all remember Gold's Gym? They wouldn't go to a typical CrossFit gym. They wanted to be in a space where they did not feel like their body was being judged or their level of fitness was being judged. So that was years ago. I mean, we're talking 10 plus years ago. And so one of the things that I started thinking about as I was putting this together is that was years before I really even opened the studio where we are in 2022. But the seeds that I had in my hand as I was thinking back, the seeds way back then, is I had a certification in CrossFit. I was coaching at a CrossFit gym. That was one of my seeds that I planted to get to where I am now. I also was working with a group called Get Fit Seymour. And what that was a group of ladies, and there were a couple men. We would get together, and we all had different certifications. We were in different types of gyms. We did different types of workouts. Some were spin instructors, some were yoga instructors, some were weightlifting coaches, some were running coaches. We all did various things. And what we did is for 2 years, we would actually come together and not charge anyone in our small community, which is about half the size of Charlottesville. We wouldn't charge anyone to work out with us for 60 days. So if someone was a member at the spin club, they could come and work out at CrossFit for free. CrossFit folks could go and do spin. And then, you know, folks could go wherever. However, the thing, and not however, but in addition to, they were all put on teams. And are y'all familiar with Biggest Loser?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a Biggest Loser kind of format. They were put on teams, and depending on how much, we didn't use weight. We didn't say who lost the most weight, because that number really means nothing. But what we were looking at is who lost percentages of body fat, who gained percentages of muscle. And that's how we did our competitions. But folks had opportunity to work out for free. They didn't have to pay. And so what that did is that allowed women in our community to experience different types of workouts without having to pay. So that was another seed. And then something else that I was thinking about is my husband and I in our basement, is that we had a space, we called it our studio. It was like our studio. We worked out in there. I had a couple other ladies that would come work out, and it was no big deal. And that was another place that was a seed. And then in 2016, I ended up getting my personal training certification. So just another little seed that was just kind of dropped in. And then the process, when I moved back to Charlottesville, when I left Charlottesville, I had lots of friends. You know, 1993, I knew everything, knew everybody, at least I thought. But when I came back in 2016, I didn't really know a lot of people. And so one of the things that this introvert had to do was I had to start thinking about how do I reconnect with Charlottesville, because this city looked nothing like it looked when I left. Roads are still the same, which I'm not quite sure how that's possible, but I think it's because everything's landlocked. But the city has exploded compared to when I lived here. So I knew I needed to get out. But because I started thinking about what do I want to do, like with my life? Like I don't want to work in social work forever. So then I found out about this program called the, now I forgot what it stands for, the CIC program, the Community Investment Collaborative, which is an opportunity for me to just start building up a tool bag. And at the time, not really planning to do a whole lot, but I was like, it's a great class. I'm going to go to it. It's 16 weeks. I'll meet some people. I'll learn some things. It'll be great. Then I ended up getting some additional certifications and then professional networking. So then as I'm thinking backwards, that was the process. I was beginning the process of getting to where I am now. I was working through the process. No longer was it just a vision. No longer was it just these random things that were kind of out here. Now I'm doing some work. I'm sitting through the 16-week program. I'm sitting through additional certifications. I'm getting out of my bubble and meeting people. I'm doing more things to really start coming together, to start bringing this fitness studio together. But in 2016, 2017, I wasn't ready because I was still working full time, and I was still trying to figure out what it was going to look like. I was still I was still tilling up some ground. I was still working through some things, watering some things. So then last year, about this time, some things started just not feeling good where I was working. I was also getting to a point where I was hitting a wall. Last summer, I got to a point where I said, and I'm not going to really tell you all of the details of where I was working, but I said, I really don't care anymore. I don't care what we do with X, Y, and Z. I just did not care. And so one day my husband said, if you could do something different, what would it be? And I said, oh, really? And I said, maybe let me pull out all those things that I had been working on for the last few years. I went back to that vision. I started thinking about what are those things that have just kind of been put in the ground. What is all that work that I had been doing? Not really knowing why I had been doing all of that. And he said, if you could do something different, what would it be? So that's the question I have for you all. If you're in a spot and you could do something different, and you know that you've been kind of working towards some different things, you've been working towards your goals, if you could make a shift, would you? And if you could, what's it gonna take for you to make that shift? So last summer, I quit my job, which that was the scariest thing, one of the scariest things I ever did, because then 2 weeks later, I got my last paycheck, you know, the ones that they like automatically send you when you show up for a job, you automatically get a paycheck every 30 days, every 2 weeks, every week. And that didn't come in. And I was like, oh gosh, did I make a mistake? And my husband said, no, you didn't make a mistake, because look at all the things that you've been doing leading up to this point. And I said, okay, whatever, if you say so. So then our harvest was coming. November 19th, we opened the studio. We opened Heart and Soul Fitness. And then once we were open and everybody left, the grand opening was gone. Some of you all were there. When everybody left, I sat on the floor and I just looked around and I thought, man, like, is this really real? Like, this is real. And he said, yeah, it's real. Like, you have been putting so much into this and it's finally here. So I want to show you a little bit of the impact. You remember how I talked about you have a harvest, but that impact, it goes on. It doesn't just stop just because now you have a harvest, now you have some corn. There's an impact of that. And I'm not going to call that corn, but I'm not liking this clicker, or the clicker's not liking me. So this is just a snapshot of the impact. So I want to tell you a little bit about these photos. I'll say that one for last. But this is a couple ladies who came in on a Saturday. See some familiar faces. But this is some ladies who came in to work out on a Saturday morning. I just kind of popped it out on the internet and said, hey, community workout Saturday morning, come work out. Same thing here. This is another Saturday morning. Some ladies just come out and work out. This one, nobody's working out. We didn't work out. That's the beauty of our studio, because I get to decide what's going to happen in the space. I get to decide. For me, that's the beautiful thing, because it doesn't have to just be working out. We can do vision board parties. We actually have another one scheduled with some senior ladies next month, and I'm so excited to have those ladies come out. They're not coming in there to work out, and that's okay. That's totally fine. That is the beauty of Heart and Soul Fitness, is that it's not about just working your body out. We are there to work with individuals, whether it's physically. I have some ladies that come in, we will work out for 45 minutes. One of the ladies in particular, she stays sometimes an extra 30 to 45 minutes just to talk. One morning she sent me a text and she says, I don't feel like working out. I'm not coming to work out. I'm just going to come and talk. And I said, okay. I didn't let her not work out. We still stretched. So I had her on a mat. She still stretched out her body. We still did some things. But that's the beauty of where we are. That's the beauty for me. That's what I enjoy, is figuring out what is it that women need, what does that individual need, and then how do we get to the heart of that? How do we really get to what her soul needs, what she needs kind of deep down inside. And this one up here, I'm excited about this picture, because this is my 50th birthday party. If y'all can't tell, I'm excited to have turned 50. And the reason I say that, my dad, when he passed away, he was 32. And for me, it was the kind of thing that birthdays, when he passed away, I said, I don't care about birthdays anymore. Birthdays would come and go. It was a struggle for me to do my kids' birthdays. Like when my kids had special birthdays, it was like, here's a cake, here's a card. And then their dad would take over. But I was so excited to turn 50. I was so excited. So again, we can party there too. We can do birthday parties. We can have celebrations. So it doesn't have to be all about working out. So for me, this is the impact of what I envisioned 10, 12 years ago. So again, start thinking about how is your impact going to ripple? How is it going to just flow into other people's lives? So I'm almost done. We're going to wrap up, but I want you to just, again, to start thinking about your goals for 2023. What's that vision? What is that goal? What seeds do you already have in your hand? What is the work that you're gonna have to do, because it's gonna require work. Like, even though I had the opportunity to just sit on the floor in that studio, I still have to keep it clean. I have to make sure that I send my husband the receipts when I spend money, which, did y'all know, little side note, did y'all know that if you swipe your card, that you could get an immediate text that the money is spent? Yeah, I like that because it also keeps me accountable too, because then it's a reminder, oh, I still need to send him the receipt. What is that accomplished goal? So what is your harvest? What is that really gonna look like? And then what are the long-term implications? So thinking back to, remember the SMART goals? For me, this works. I can't wrap my brain all the way around SMART goals. I like this. Yes, ma'am.
Can you clarify the difference between the vision and the harvest? Is that pretty much the same thing, or is the vision more so like, this is what I'm manifesting, this is what I want, and then the harvest is like the true reality of what that looks like in its truest, most current form, and how it may have shifted a little, or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Vision. This is, I wanna see some flowers. I wanna see flowers. I wanna have flowers. That's kind of the vision. The harvest is when I actually have those flowers in my hand. I can smell them, I can see them, I can put them in a jar of water. That's the harvest. But yes, exactly like you said it. Perfect. Yep. Any other questions? I didn't slow down and ask if y'all had questions. Okay, we can ask more in a minute, because I'm really almost done. I promise. I said I wasn't going to talk for a whole hour, and look at me. This, I just want you to kind of take with you. I want you to think about, hold that vision as long as you need to. You may have to just hold this for a while. It may take some time. Even as you're going through the process, you have to trust the process, but you hold on to the vision. And then when you have that impact, you cherish that impact. One of the ladies that was with me this morning, she left in tears. We had a great workout session, and as she was kind of wrapping up and kind of closing some things that she wanted to close in the conversation, she said, you know, I really would like to do this thing. And I said, and as she's talking, you know when someone's talking, you're not really supposed to be thinking about your response. But in that moment, like I was like, my brain was going 100 miles a minute. I had all the responses. But as she was kind of ending her sentence, I was like, you know, what if we did this? And what if we did that? And just tears. Because she said, I never thought that I could actually do something like that. So I'm going to tell y'all a little secret. I haven't put a whole lot of effort into it yet, but this is kind of a little vision. We're going to do a heart and soul 5K. So just kind of put that out there now. That's what we're going to do, a heart and soul 5K. At some point this year, we're going to do it. Never underestimate the valuable and important difference that you make in every life that you touch. So as you're thinking about your goals, think about the lives that you're going to touch, the people that you're going to impact. For the impact that you make today has a powerful rippling effect on every tomorrow. So again, this particular lady that was with me this morning, even though she was talking about wanting to do the one thing that she's wanting to do, my brain was just going 100 miles a minute, because I'm like, okay, we're going to do a 5K, and then this fall she's going to do something with one of her family members, and I'm going to go and I'm going to cheer both of them on. I'm not doing it because I want to be there when they both cross that finish line together, and I can't wait. So think about how it's going to impact months, days, years down the road. All right, pencils down, everything down. So I want you to take one. So while y'all are passing those, I'm going to read what's up here. I don't want y'all to try to read it. I just want you to kind of sit and breathe, listen, do what you need to do. So this is a gift that I'm giving to each of you. I want you all to really hold on to these words, and again, I'll send them out. But may this year be the year that you accomplish every desire of your heart. So the things that you all spoke out, may you accomplish them. May you find favor with those who support and encourage you along the way. Many of us don't like to ask for help. We need to ask for help. because you don't know who is just waiting to pour into your lap. May you have the wisdom to know when to ask for help, when to pivot, and when to let some things go. May you rest and refuel your bodies to give you the endurance that you need to see your goals come to fruition. Going back to that race, the marathon, that required a lot of endurance. And then the last one. May you take these seeds as a reminder to use what is in your hands to make this world a more beautiful and fragrant place. Does everybody get seeds?
Yes, thank you.
So here's my contact information. This is my email address, and then this is our website. Heart and Soul Fitness was already taken. Heart and Soul Fitness with Nicole cost me a whole bunch of money, so I just went with my name, Nicole Hawker. That's the website.